Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. I wanted to talk directly at some of my detractors today. And, let me reset this. There we go. There we go. Maybe that's better. How's my sound? And let me reset it. Okay. Okay, it doesn't sound the greatest, but we'll continue talking. And I wanted to talk directly to some of the detractors and how I feel about these things, from Mahatma Gandhi to Martin Luther King. David Henry Thoreau is an inspiration. Non-cooperation is what he taught. It's the only way civil disobedience will cost, and let there be cost if that's what we believe in. If you're righteous, then you expect a cost, and if the righteous go to jail, then jail is where the righteous are, and that's what David Henry Thoreau believed. And he did go to jail for his non-cooperation theory. Non-cooperation is what Mgtow is all about. Mgtow is thoroughly non-cooperation. Thoreau tells us how to resist in civil disobedience to his audience, and we are his audience. Like I say, Muammar Gandhi and Martin Luther King and a lot of other people took Thoreau very seriously, but Mgtow seems to be wishy-washy on that. We cannot blame the problem solely on these man-up groups and these legal systems that are corrupt. Some of us take on things that are just plain wrong, and we must blame those for those instances. Men that pay their bullies to leave them alone, who are more concerned with commerce than they are humanity. If you choose to fight, you never give the machine or your opponents money and funds by supporting it. You support this thing when you pay into this machine. You must throw a wrench into it. That's what David Henry Thoreau said. You have to throw a wrench into the machine. And most men are not prepared to do justice when it comes to men's rights and the slave cost. And like I said, cost it will be. There are billions of men who are, in opinion, opposed to this sort of slavery and violence, yet in effect they do nothing to put an end to it. Most men make the mistake of paying their captor a ransom as replacement for courage. They lose their courage. It's a barter that's always a bribe. A barter is a bribe. And it's like giving your lunch money to a bully because you fear and you shudder to fight back. There's no courage in that. You never give your lunch money to the bully. You fight back and you force him to stop. You become cooperative in this sense with your bully. You may even become friends with your bully. In this case, your partner becomes the corrupt legal systems in which we talk about. I exhort people not to wait passively for this opportunity to vote or do those things, because voting will never come. There'll never be justice in an effective way for men in these cases. That's just well-wishing for justice. You don't have to spend the rest of your life doing this if you don't want to, and a lot of people leave, but I see a lot of people simp out after doing this. You don't have to spend the rest of your life devoting life to fighting this injustice, but you do have an obligation not to commit injustice and not to give injustice your practical support or your financial support. Mgtow does this, and they become the justice. That's the only way we know how to do this. We become the justice in which we talk about. We walk the walk. We don't pay our captives. We don't pay for fatherhood taxes. We don't pay for for these things. There's otherwise well-meaning people that collaborate with injustice. They pay the lawyers, they pay the court system, the same court system and lawyers that extort you. You pay. Essentially, you pay the mothers, you pay for the slave labor and cost of your utility. It's a bribe. It's a bribe, and it's a bribe for a punitive religious constructs that are illogical and corrupt. People who proclaim that they are on the side of this, on the war on men. They pay into this enforced slavery, and they contradict themselves. They fund both things by paying fatherhood taxes. Thoreau points out that in the same way we applaud soldiers for refusing to fight an unjust war, are themselves willing to refuse, they're unwilling to refuse to fund the government that started the war. They continue paying. Thoreau had to he went to jail for not paying a poll tax on a war against Mexico that he thought was unjust, and a war on slavery, on men, that he thought was unjust. You never pay your captors. And if you can peaceably resist that and do non-cooperation, you are a good man, even though that might mean that these same people will afflict violence upon you. You just simply non-cooperate. There's a good story about a train maintenance oiler that he did not continue to oil the train wheels that were headed for the internment camps in Germany, Auschwitz. He did not oil the wheels, and a few of those trains never made it. And those people never made it to the internment camps. You never grease the wheels of injustice. As Mgtow, we throw a wrench in those wheels. We try to stop the machine, and we try to stop the machine's gears, which Thoreau would say. We throw a wrench in it. But how do we do this? How do we dare to do this without being called violent and without being called, names? And I recently got called names by one of my detractors that continues to pay the system that enslaves him. What a cowardice act. What a cowardice act. The question for Mgtow is, how do we do this and save a little bit of our dignity and manlyhood? Well, don't be the best slave. Don't be the best slave that's sitting there going, oh, boss, my wheels are best. They're the best greased wheels. I'm the best slave. I'm the best slave. Aren't I, boss? Aren't I? You become an Uncle Tom. Now, a lot of men in this world don't understand what an Uncle Tom is, but that's exactly it. Never pay your captors. For Hammerhand that resists in non-cooperation, I think he's a good man. For these other men that shame Mgtow's and say that non-cooperation is just being a deadbeat dad, you're crazy and you're foolish and you're ignorant of the facts. And so sad and so cowardly are they. And that's all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to keep it short. Be like David Henry Thoreau. I remember one of the first books that I read after coming out of my haze, after I was poisoned, was David Henry Thoreau in Walden, and I admired his character. The book was written after he was denied some farmland by a farmer that promised the farmland to him to sell it to him, but his wife said, well, he's just a single male. He can't have the farmland. So he went off to the woods and he wrote Walden, and he wrote a couple of other books on civil disobedience. And those are the books that you should read, because those are the books that are important to Mgtow. Never pay your captor. Be that wrench in the machine. Don't oil the wheels of injustice. Don't be a coward. Because paying your captor, paying the bully your lunch money, well, that's the easy way out. Then you don't have to fight the bully. Never pay the bully. Be a Mgtow, be a man. But for those cowards that pay the bully, Yeah, well, there's nothing I could say to them that would sink in their dense simp brains. And to all my detractors that want to call me names, I mean, they are less of men now. They bought into it. They're greasing the wheels of injustice. They're simps, and they've wandered off of Mgtow and became nothing. They've wandered into the nothingness. Go on, pay your bully. He'll always take your lunch money. And he'll continue taking your lunch money until you become a man. And that will be with civil disobedience. Thanks a lot, guys. And I want to keep it short and palatable. I respect every man that performs an act of civil disobedience, whatever it is. Spray paint that Mgtow somewhere. Tell them we're unhappy with the way men are treated, the slavery, the injustice, the barbaric system that puts us in slavery. We are unhappy with that. We want equality too. We want equality too. And we will not pay our captors. Call us what you want. But you are the ones that grease the wheels of injustice by going along with the scheme. And that's all I wanted to talk about today. For logical men, this makes sense. For illogical men and simps and beggars and cackling hyenas, I just sound like blah, 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 blah to them. It could never stick in their brains. Wake up, men. Wake up. Become that resistance. Non-cooperation is the only way. Thanks a lot for listening, men. And like always, thanks a lot for being Mgtow. Mgtow. I love each and every one of you. Thanks a lot.